Hello, PBLers. It's Lindsey Blackburn, and I'm a PBLMatters facilitator here today with Melissa Drury. She is the principal at Burn Union Elementary School in Central Ohio, which is a pre-K through 6th grade elementary. And she's got a pretty good background in STEM and PBL. And so she's going to provide us some insights today on what it's like to be a leader and some things she's learned along the way. Thanks so much for being here, Melissa.
Absolutely.
Will you tell us a little bit about how you got started with PBL?
Sure. I started my PBL experience probably about 10 years ago. I was working in Reynoldsburg City Schools, and Reynoldsburg was making a transition from what they were currently doing to include a STEM school. And out of that came a STEM elementary that they were building. And we were designing that school from the ground up, and we knew that we wanted PBL to be the foundation for all the work that was done at that elementary school. And the high school had already started that work, so we started jumping on board. And at that time, we kind of partnered with the PASS Foundation, as well as pulled some things from, at the time, Buck Institute, and just some individuals, Marcy Raymond, different people that were kind of working in that field, and pieced things together, and then provided training for our teachers through some of those different organizations.
Very good. And since you've been at it for about 10 years, there's got to be a couple sort of memorable moments or high points, things along the way. Can you share one or two memorable things with us?
So probably one of my favorite all-time PBL things is, first of all, it's just like kids. With anything that you learn new, you have those aha moments, and it's kind of one of those things where as you learn how to design and implement a PBL unit, you realize this is what I've been looking for. Like those of us who are trying to connect to kids and find the things that really take them into deeper learning, realize it aligns, it's exactly what you want. And so seeing some teachers realize, oh my goodness, like I can do all these things and feel like I'm not, even though I'm standards based, I am also relating it to what kids need. And I can delve really deep into something that might not be something that specifically as stated in the standards, yet I can tackle all the standards within it. So those are some of those aha moments. The other things are just some of the projects kids, some of the problems kids have solved that sometimes I'm like, my gosh, we had no idea that kids could do these types of projects or this type of work and get the quality of what we get from them. Probably one of my favorites at Summit was our 4th graders tackled the Every Kid in the Park with the National Park System. And the National Park System really has a hard time getting 4th graders to use their pass. And every kid in the nation gets that pass. Mm-hmm. And so our 4th grade students and teachers decided to do a kickoff on their 100th year anniversary to get more kids into the park, the national park. And so they did a whole PBL around, how can we get kids in parks? And they did public service announcements and websites and tweeted, did all types of things. And they actually ended up getting retweeted and picked up by the National Park System, and ended up with a free opportunity to go up to the national park here in Cleveland. So they provided all the transportation so the kids could actually, our 4th graders could actually use their own pass and just get that information out. It was amazing. So awesome. That's really fun ones.
Cool. What would you say is something that you've used, a resource, a tool? Well, I guess what I'm trying to ask is, how have you continued your learning over this decade of being involved in STEM and PBL?
I try to surround myself with people who are also growing and learning in PBL, because I think if you're not always looking, to improve yourself and grow yourself, then you lose some of that skill. So they're pushing me also to be doing more and better. I've also, like this past year, I had the opportunity, I recently changed from Reynoldsburg City Schools to Burn Union Schools. So this is my 3rd year at Burn Union. And when I came here, there was no PBL work being done. And PBLMatters through the Fairfield County ESC was an opportunity that arose while I was here. And so I gathered a group of 5 that I knew were eager to learn about PBL and would be willing to invest. And I engaged them and got them on board, and we all participated together. Even though I had that training, I did it again with them, because I want to be supportive of those teachers and be using the same verbiage they're using, those kind of things. I also have done different book studies, Sometimes I get together with a group of teachers who are working on a PBL just to kind of brainstorm together.
That's amazing. We do trainings, and sometimes the principal like comes in the morning and like says hi, and then we never see them again. And there's there's something to be said for what you're talking about, is coming alongside the teachers, understanding the training they've had, the language that they're going to be using, the expectations, the challenges, the questions that they have coming right out of the gate. Like, that makes you such a better leader. So I really respect that about you, particularly with the book studies too, because it's one thing to like hit go, but it's another thing to carry on with them as they work through some stuff. So that's awesome. Good for you. Okay, so last March, the world got turned upside down. How did you guys ebb and flow there at Burn Union in terms of project-based learning and what you had started?
So we probably weren't as far along. Our training was this summer. So our teachers, the one thing that they kept going, which probably is not what I would consider a full-blown PBL, but they had started first grade, the two first grade teachers had started something with our chicks, growing chicks. And they were hoping to do a PBL with that. So they continued to do some pieces, but they weren't able to do obviously what they intended to do. And really our other two teachers that were engaged at kindergarten and then the one at the 5th grade level, I don't think that we pulled through anything specific to PBL, but they were able to, because we had what I would say more time at home, they had opportunities to do some collaboration together to think about what that would look like when we came back here in the fall. So we actually benefited in some way from having some of that time off, because they were able to do more research and talk together and kind of think about what resources we needed and what partners we could pull in to help support the work, and, even partners that would be able to talk to our kids.
Yep.
Those types of things. So I don't know that we did anything, what I would say, jazzy and wow, but definitely laid great foundation for this year's work.
Yeah, it sounds like it. That's a really unique opportunity, because when the ins and outs of the day-to-day of schools creep in, that planning time that you're talking about just doesn't happen. So I can see how that would greatly benefit you. That's awesome. Any cool projects going yet this year? I know it's only October, but
not yet. We just started back this week.
Yep.
So we were full remote. Mm-hmm. So we had our own experiences learning technology that some of our teachers weren't used to using. And the early adopters for my PBL in the building are 2 kindergarten teachers, 2 first grade teachers, and a 5th grade teacher. So when you look at it that way, getting PBL started remotely right off the gate was a little challenging, but they are eager and really interested in getting started now that they've got the kids back in their hands. So I anticipate the kindergarten's looking at a garden, some things with gardening, and have their PBL question, their driving question ready to go, and some of those pieces. So they're ready to get started with kids.
Yeah, nice. All right, we always close with the same kind of question. It's purposely vague, and it is, why PBL?
So for me, I think PBL encompasses who I am as a person. Like, I feel like it allows our kids to really take a risk, actually delve deep into something that is meaningful. It's what the real world is. PBL is what the real world is made up of. And so we give kids an opportunity to use those same skills in a classroom versus just memorizing things and spitting it back out, or, generic application, but giving them an opportunity to see how all these different skills come together to solve something that is real, authentic to them. And what I always say to my teachers, I've said this for a long time, is what's real to you is not necessarily what's real to kids. The types of problems they're solving are very different. Like, we think global, big picture, and they, think little tiny things like the ball got on the roof at the school. That's a real problem for kids, and giving them an opportunity to solve those things seems like, why would we do that? But it causes them to use a lot of different thinking and skills and design cycles and all kinds of those pieces that come together that they wouldn't necessarily use just because we're teaching a specific standard.
Yep.
So
I think that's a great example for elementary. Yeah, basic things like that. Why is there trash on the ground and stuff like that?
Right.
Yeah. If you had to give a piece of advice to an elementary school administrator like yourself, what would it be?
I would say, first of all, go for it. And secondly, I would say engage with your teachers, do it alongside them so that they see the importance thereof. There's a lot of excitement created by it. And there are always going to be naysayers. But I think when you go with the goers, it creates a lot of excitement, and the people that are kind of on the fringe start to get involved, and then it grows. It'll naturally grow on its own if you're there supporting it along the way with them, versus asking them to do it and, not being right there with them.
Yep. Go with the goers.
Go with the goers.
That. That's very good. Melissa, thank you so much for your time. I know it's a crazy time of year. We really appreciate your insights.
You're welcome, Lindsay. I enjoyed it.
All right. Take care, my dear.
Bye.
Bye.